Something else that I want to mention, because I just had to kind of turn around, is this does have, well, first off, turn signal camera, which is a nice luxury feature, and it does have rear steer. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the all-new Genesis G90. First and foremost, though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Genesis of Linden, Utah, for giving me some time with these G90s. Now, the reason that there's two different G90s is because one of these is actually already pre-sold, but it has a really cool color on it, and so I figured that we would have it here in the video so you guys can at least see the color. Then the other G90 is the one we're going to be focusing on in today's video because, well, it's not sold, and if you want a new G90, then the Genesis of Linden has this one for sale. Link to their inventory in the description down below. If you have any questions whatsoever, just ask for Marie. And then on a side note, if you want to save time, money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So under the hood, we have a turbocharged 3.5 liter V6 that's paired to a 48 volt E-Supercharger, and also goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Total system output is 409 horsepower and then 405 pound-feet of torque, with fuel economy being 17 around town and then 24 on the highway. Well, let's go over the front end of the G90, and now we're gonna go over to the matte car to actually go over the front end. So I really love these distinctive lines on either side of the hood, and you guys can see with the gloss paint, it doesn't pop out nearly as much, but with this matte paint, it just, yeah, it absolutely pops. I love the new style of headlights. I think they're absolutely awesome. Let me just make sure I got the right key here so I can, yeah, I picked the right key the first time, but you guys can see what the turn signals look like too, with all the lights going in at once. That's pretty neat. And then we got the Genesis logo there in the center, and then we have this massive front grille with the camera there on the front, parking sensors, and then also sensors down below. I feel like all of it's very nicely integrated. And you know what, I have to say, definitely more of like a refresh in terms of the look from a front end perspective, but it still looks really good with both the cars in, you know, gloss and in matte. Coming around the side here, our tire and wheel setup is 245, 40, 21 in the front, and then 275, 35, 21 in the rear. So, you know, slightly different tire width and, you know, overall size, but the wheels are the same size front to rear. I love the design on the wheels, super intricate and obviously pretty dang large. But I mean, in the luxury car world, these are technically small because everyone's doing like 23s nowadays. I love this little accent piece there on the front end, and then I love how like the hood, how that kind of like comes into the fender. I think that looks really cool. And then you have the turn signal indicators here on the side of the car, and then you guys can see the chrome trim that goes all along the bottom, and then also around the windows as well. We do have the pop-out door handles, which is another cool feature, and you guys can see it's a pretty large sedan. I mean, super long, but there's the side. Now I find this kind of interesting. We have two different key fobs. We have one that's like black, and then we have one that's white. They have the same exact functionality, the same pattern on them, but just slightly different colors, so it's kind of interesting. But one side has the lock, unlock, and then the opening for the trunk, which we'll actually press right now. And then the other side has your parking assistance and your remote start. What the parking assistance allows you to do is basically slowly drive the car forwards and backwards while you're outside of the car, so you can get in and out of a tight parking space. Now, actually popping into the trunk, you guys can see just how massive it is. It has so much storage space back here. It's crazy, and you guys can see all the goodies you get brand new. Now you guys can see we've got these cloth floor mats, which yeah, definitely really cool with the coloration. I'm just not sure on how easy it would be to keep those clean long term, but beautiful color, that's for sure. And then you got these nice metallic plaques, and then notice that we've got our lock function. Then you can just press this and that'll lower down the trunk. There you go. Now let's finish things up with the rears of, well, I guess both of the cars. So first off, again, you guys can see the difference between the matte color and the gloss paint. Definitely distinctive. Now I love the taillights here on the new G90. You got obviously like that light bar look there in the center, but I think overall the design looks pretty dang sweet. And then you guys can see Genesis, and if you notice, the lights kind of like wrap all around here on the back. It's definitely unique. Parking sensors on the rear, and you guys can see the covers there for the exhaust tips. And well, that's the rear. We're actually gonna pop into the white one, since again this one is pre-sold, so we're not gonna do too much with the interior there, but that one's not, so let's go inside. Now before going to the interior of the white one, I do want to mention that the matte one has the same exact interior. Like, the options, the colors, everything are all the same. So first off, you guys can see you've got this like seal here at the top, and that is actually for the sunshade. And there's a little sunshade here on the side too. And I can also pull up the sunshades there for the passengers. Kind of a cool little feature. But anyways, beautiful leather here at the top. Then you guys can see the wood trim down below. Like, look how nice that is. And then speaker for the Bang & Olufsen sound system. And look at this white leather here. Just so beautiful. And already went over the window controls, but we also have memory seats here in the back. We have our resting position with the seat. We have massaging seats. There's so many features. This is the button to close the door. I'll show that to you guys in a second. And then there is like a manual release down below, I guess if the battery dies or something. And then here are the seats themselves. Like, you got this really pillowy headrest, and it looks like it has like a little bit of a adjustment there, just like what you have on an airplane, which is pretty cool. So it kind of like wraps around your head. And then you guys can see the leather down below, and then the piping as well. And these are very, very important, having these plastic covers. So when you pop in, you don't want to like hit the seal at all. So like foot over onto the plastic, just like that. And I'm living the life of luxury. So I guess I can get a massage now if I want. Oh my gosh. And then I can go into the resting position. So I have to hold that down. And I guess the seat, oh my gosh. It's like going into full recline mode. Wow. That's pretty cool. Now I think the resting position for this side's a little bit more extreme. So I'm gonna do it and then I'll get back to you guys once it's done. Now, as you can see, we have full recline mode here. Now, one thing I will say that's slightly annoying, you have to hold the button for the entire time. If you let go, then the functionality stops. But, I mean, this is the comfiest seat in the house. And look at this. I have, like, regular seat adjustments here in the back. Like, that's crazy. And then you guys can see we've got a button here in the center to close the door as well. So, like, I guess if you don't want to, you know, press this button because that's too far away, you can also press that one. And then just double tap for the screen. I guess swipe to unlock it now. So we've got the screen here in the back, and you guys can see we can control some different functions. It does look like it has like a little plastic cover on it, so that is going to kind of get in the way a little bit. You guys can see our massage. I can increase the duration. We're gonna go for a 20-minute massage. I guess this review is gonna take quite a bit of time today. And then for the seats, yeah, we have heated and cooled seats, which is also really neat. And then we have our own climate zone. I love how it tells us the temperature outside here in the back. But I mean, you can literally control like even the lights. That's crazy. That's so weird. This is so cool. Like, I know that this is probably like boring for you guys to like watch this, but like there's so many features back here. This is definitely fun. But yeah, it's kind of like a second infotainment system, and I guess this also control. Okay, that's weird. So get this. This controls the front infotainment. Like, I'm controlling the volume up and the channel for the front infotainment system from back here. That's so strange. Okay, well. Oh, look at that. I can do the sounds of nature from back here too. That's so. Okay, so yeah, I guess there's that part of the center console. Sorry that I spent so much time on that, but that's just so weird to me. And then you got the storage space there, and then you got the wireless phone charging pad, and you can see the nice leather trim here, and I guess we have a pass-through to the back. That's pretty neat. Pretty normal, though. And I guess you can lift this up. Yeah, you could, if you don't want that, you could just lift it up, and I guess, I don't know why you do that, but I guess that you could. We got some more vents back here, and it looks like some, there's charging ports galore here in the back. And then we got more vents. There's vents everywhere. And of course we have mirrors here in the rear as well. We have our own sunroof too. My goodness. And look at this. There's even, wow, that's crazy. Let's head to the front. Now, something I actually want to show before we fully head to the front is the door popper. It actually opens it like a decent amount. And something else that I've noticed, so we have to open up the rest of the door, well, the door the rest of the way, is with the door, it's like, so like I can just lightly touch this. Like I literally just barely tap that. Now let's go over the front door panel here. You guys can see again with the brown leather and then the wood trim down below. That looks so cool. Maybe if I duck down here, my shadow won't get in the way. And then look at the leather trim and then more down below there. And then you guys can see all the window controls. And I can actually control the sunshades even in the rear, which is pretty cool. Memory seats. And then I guess that I can adjust stuff with the passenger seat from the front, which is pretty cool. I guess it kind of makes sense if you're doing a valet situation with someone. and then again, more speakers for that Bang & Olufsen sound system, and then the manual release for the door if the electronic release doesn't work for some reason. Even the mirror adjustment looks really nice. The mirrors do have blind spot monitoring. And then here is the front seat, as you can see. Again, just as nice as the rear. And look at the perforations there in the center portion. And then you can see all the adjustments here on the side. There's like 2 million of them. And then the pedal layout down below. And then we have this for the parking brake, stability control. And then this is for the suspension. I'll show that once we turn on the car. And then you guys can see with the auto stop, start, and then just latch release. Steering wheel is power adjustable. Let's pop in. Okay, now I understand this. So you guys can see how that's kind of far away. Like I'd have to really reach because of how big these doors are. Bloop. Ah, life of luxury. Here's the steering wheel for the G90. You've got the beautiful brown leather all around, and even the airbag cover has really nice stitching and leather on it. This has Genesis's 2-spoke design. Paddle shifters there on the back, and then we have practical stuff on the one side for stuff like our adaptive cruise control, steering assist, voice command controls on the other side. And I think the white trim there in the background is kind of interesting. Obviously it matches the rest of the white throughout the car, but it's definitely a unique look. It almost looks like a face in a way. Actually, remember from Pokemon, Executor, I think is what its name was, like the egg Pokemon? This kind of looks like just one of those, like with just the head, if that makes sense. Weird reference, but anyways, turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock, and there's the steering wheel. So here is our center gauge cluster. It's a full digital gauge cluster, as you guys can see, and it shows normal stuff like your RPMs, fuel range, and I guess your average miles per gallon and all that. But there is this little side screen which we can go through, and you can see different bits of info like power distribution, which I'm actually pretty interested to see what that's like here on the G90. But you can also scroll through some different stuff like, hey, sounds of nature if you want to turn that on. But we are going to leave it to be the, I guess I'm on the wrong tab. Power distribution, so we can see what that is later. And by the way, that's controlled via that little black box. Now, before we go over the camera system, I do want to mention there's random buttons here. Well, not random, like that opens up the trunk, and this is for the brightness on the screen, but it's just in such a strange place. Anyways, camera system. In reverse, you guys can see we got a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn the steering wheel. You got the bird's eye view, and look at this. We got this cool 360 view, and look, the matte one is now gigantic next to us because of the whole camera viewpoint situation. But yeah, solid camera system overall. As for the rest of the infotainment screen, first off, I feel like response time's pretty dang good. You do have to kind of swipe pretty hard though to go from one menu to the next. And then you have functions for everything. So like the seats, for example, you can control everything. So like if I want to, I guess, control the driver's seat, press that, and then I can turn on massage with the screen. So like it's cool, all the stuff that you can actually control from this infotainment screen. And notice I can just go back from one menu to the next. There is a valet mode, of course. And then you guys can see the rest of the setup. This is cool, 3D setup. Zoom. There's just so many, that's so fun. That actually makes like doing stuff like, look at that. Man, I mean, it's not necessarily like the best, but it's still, that's kind of, I mean, it's kind of gimmicky, but that's kind of fun. That's cool. So yeah, they've got a bunch of cool little features here. Voice memo as well. I mean, there's literally like, that's crazy, the technology. Mood curator. Apparently I can't talk today. Vitality. Oh, so it does like sounds, and it turns on different functions. That's pretty cool. So it like sets a different mood. Yeah. I know this review's kind of all over the place so far, but like there's a lot of features in this car. So down below we've got a bunch of controls here for the radio and the climate system. Again, dual zone climate system here for the front and also for the rear. And I guess we also have fragrance in the car as well, which is also a pretty neat feature. And then down below we've got this little tab that covers up some cup holders and more nice leather trim all around. And then here's our shifter. So like when you put it into gear, it like, or reverse actually, it vibrates in reverse. That is very interesting. Anyways, this is the fingerprint scanner that comes with new Genesis models now, so you can basically turn yourself into the key, which is pretty cool. And then you guys can see what the volume controls around that, and then if you don't want to control the infotainment screen with your finger, you can control it with this dial. We've got heated and cooled seat controls here, and then we've got this for the camera system, drive mode, select parking sensors, and then the doors to close them, and then wireless phone charging pad right in front of that. Now, the drive mode's pretty interesting. We have 4 drive modes, technically. We have an Eco, Comfort, and notice how it does a cool little animation, Sport, and then we have a Chauffeur Mode. Now, the Chauffeur Mode basically makes it so that the car is going to be slightly less performance-y with the throttle so that you have to drive smoother, and then also it sets up the whole suspension system so that when you go over bumps and everything, the back seat passengers are going to feel it a lot less than the front seat passengers. So yeah, it's a true Chauffeur Mode. And there's a hidden button right here, and that's what opens up the center console, which is absolutely massive, has some USBs and all that inside of it. And then we've got the glove box lined with felt, pretty normal glove box, honestly. Got a nice metallic handle on it, and then you guys can see the stitching here on the dash, and then look at the wood trim, and of course we have the mega vent that goes all the way across, and then more wood trim here at the top, and it actually connects, like all of the trim kind of connects together. I think they did a really good job with this interior from a material standpoint. And then popping up to the top, we have our double sunroof situations. We have one in the front and then one there in the back. You guys can see the control there for the sunroof, which is pretty neat. And then we just have a traditional mirror here at the top. I'm surprised they don't have the camera mirror because the new Hyundai Palisade has the camera mirror, so I thought they'd add that to this. And again, really nice material use all throughout, even how they're stitching on the grab handle here. And then also the speakers do that cool like raise thing, just like with Mercedes-Benz. So you can see there in the corner, it's gonna pop up. Another cool feature. So here's our window sticker for this G90. You guys can see that, well, pretty much everything is standard equipment that we went over with this package. This is just the 2023 E-Supercharger all-wheel drive. There isn't really like a name on the package. So they're making the G90 pretty much uniform with the setup, it looks like. Anyways, we have 2 different warranties. The main ones we're gonna go over, at least 5 years, 60,000 mile on the new vehicle warranty, and then we've got a 10-year, 100,000 mile on the powertrain. And then you guys can see here with the base MSRP, really only options, right, is the paint color and then I guess the first aid kit. Total MSRP, $100,500 after destination and all that. Let's see how this thing drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility over the hood, and hopefully you guys can now see the heads-up display. Both the mirrors, which do have blind spot monitoring, and then throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. So setting off in the G90, and I love how it shows us driving around the parking lot now with the camera system. That's kind of cool. Now, this review is mainly going to be focused towards luxury driving because this is a luxury car, and that's kind of what this is all about. Yeah, we'll get a little acceleration with this, but the main purpose of this car is to be comfortable, and so let's put it in comfort setting. I also want to see the power distribution to see how they have this all-wheel drive set up. Haha, see what I did there? But anyways, initially, suspension's really nice. Super smooth. When you go over bumps, like it's comfortable. It's definitely comfortable. Now, one thing I will say after reviewing these cars with the white interiors, I love how this interior looks. I just don't know if I'd get it because of the potential for stains and everything on the carpet and on some of this white leather trim. Again, it looks so much better than when you just do like a black plain interior, but again, from a practicality standpoint, I think that I might be preferable to going for just a slightly darker interior color. Also, I didn't realize this is actually leather trim here. I thought it was just white plastic, but it's hard to tell. It's honestly hard to tell. I guess I don't know, but yeah, it's so quiet. Like noise insulation, fantastic. You hear a little bit with the road, but it's pretty dang minimal. Something else that's interesting is when I came up to a stop, the climate control actually like decreased a little bit to kind of like make it so that everything got even quieter. It seems like they're doing a lot of noise cancellation in this car. That's pretty cool. Like it's working. That's crazy. Going over that little manhole cover, usually you can at least feel it on the side that you go over. I'm gonna go over this little bump here. Wow. It completely, like, it's gone. There's no bump. That is so impressive. I don't think I've ever driven anything quite as comfortable as this, except for the the new S-Class. Now, something else that I want to mention, because I just had to kind of turn around, is this does have, well, first off, turn signal camera, which is a nice luxury feature, and it does have rear steer as well. And the rear steer actually helps out quite a bit. Makes this feel substantially smaller than it is, especially in tight spaces. So it works really well. The biggest thing though for me is this suspension, because like I can hear myself going over things, but I can't quite feel it. And that is so cool. Like I think the only other, okay, so like I said, Mercedes S-Class, maybe like the new Ford Raptor that has, again, that crazy Fox shock suspension with 37-inch tall tires, so it like gets rid of everything. I think that's the closest. And so it's crazy that a car with 21-inch wheels can basically get rid of everything in the road. I think that's really impressive. Wow, those buttons are bright in the sunlight though. I will say that. Bolsters tighten around you when you pop it into the sport mode. Oh, it turns off as I'm still coasting. That's quick. It's like instant too, so I'm gonna kind of slow down here for a second, and then yeah, you can tell that it definitely feels a lot more instant compared to the 3.5 without this E-Charger. So there's a big difference with that. Yeah, this is such a nice car. I'm super impressed. Like, going over this, let's see. It's just gone. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, I mean, $100,000, this used to be, and this is what everyone's talking about, this used to be like the quote-unquote bargain luxury car, and now it's quote-unquote not a bargain luxury car. But let's be real here. A Mercedes S-Class that's similarly equipped is like $140,000. Okay, so this at $100,000 with all of these features, and with the way that this drives, is an absolute bargain still. Like, Genesis is still playing the bargain card, that is for sure. But it's not like you're getting like a cheap, crappy knockoff. Like, the only thing, in my personal opinion, that the S-Class has over this is the fact that the S-Class has that 4-liter V8 that is so fun and fast, and you know, it's got like over 100 horsepower more than this. But aside from that, everything else in this I prefer. And so yeah, I mean, I'm sure that Genesis is going to release some sort of, you know, higher performance powertrain in the near future with this. They always do with all their vehicles, so we'll see what happens. But as this stands with this vehicle, how it is, this is the luxury sedan that I would buy over any of the other ones, because it just, the warranty's better than all the other competitors. This drives so well. I feel like the power is more than enough for like luxury car driving. It's really quiet. It's super comfortable. There's tons of features. I don't have anything bad to say about this, frankly. Like, it's a great car. That's gonna sum things up with our video on the new Genesis G90. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Genesis of Linden, Utah for giving me some time with this G90. Check out the inventory in the description down below. Ask for Marie if you have any questions whatsoever. I'll see ya.